Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and usually we feature a beer of the week. This week's episode, we are going to conclude our Star Wars month with some talk about the Darksaber, as well as the Seige and Purge of Mandalore, with season 3 of The Mandalorian wrapping up. A lot of questions. They didn't really fully explain what happened and what went down in that season, so we got you covered with a little in-depth knowledge, and it feels like a really good way to come off the Vanessa Marshall interview, Kelly Knox interview, though they did a lot of great things in the Star Wars realm, and so why not wrap it up with some good knowledge? That said, I'm Matt. With me is Lauren. As always, find us Hops Geek News on any podcasting platform, on any social media platform as well. And if you feel so inclined to support the show, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. Everything that comes to us goes right back into the show. And we love doing what we do. So thanks for hanging out with us. This week, I don't have a beer. I am somehow propped up. I am fresh off of knee surgery and my knee's all effed up. I'm all messed up. And so it's also like 8 a.m. And I haven't had a beer in a week because I'm not supposed to drink yet. So no beer for me. And I imagine, Lauren, you're just pounding some coffee over there.
No, I just shotgunned a beer. Shotgunned a triple IPA. I mean, it's already 9:41 over here. I might as well. No, I'm drinking my coffee and I got it in my Navarro mug since we're going to be talking Mandalore. So this is as close to a Mandalorian mug that they make. Maybe they'll have a Mandalore mug one day.
I'm sure they will like the next round because they just released like the Mustafar ones and all that. And they've been releasing a lot of like Been There series with Starbucks. And
oh God, my cousin bought all of them. So they sell like if you drink espresso or if you really like Christmas ornaments, which I do, I just don't have room in my tree. They also sell the mini ones and they're supposed to be ornaments, but she bought all of them and set them up
shot
like
glasses.
Espresso cups.
Oh,
yeah, they could be.
Yes,
they could be shot glasses, of course, too, for sure. Put a little Bailey's in one.
Shots of espresso blue milk.
But they got Bespin, Hoth. They re-released some of them that they've had in the past, like Endor. They had the little one, so they got some amazing mugs. I'm just still waiting for them to do Marvel ones. Come on, I want a Nowhere one. I want a Xandar one. Let's do this.
That'd be kind of cool. I'm surprised they haven't done that either. That'd be kind of cool. Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe we need more planets.
Yeah,
we could do Earths, different Earths, multiverses. One with the pizza balls,
like a Spider-Verse Earth one with that kind of art style on the mug. That'd be pretty dope. I'd be all over that. I am a hoarder. I think I collect shit. So I think that's why I'd be all about that stuff. Like the whole wall of like the Starbucks mugs of the states that we've been to, I have. So it's like, I don't need any more, but at the same time, like they're so beautiful.
They are. The last thing I need is another
hot coffee.
Okay. See, at least I drink hot coffee. So
no, I rarely do. I'll use it for like tea once in a while or like eggnog when it's that time of year. But yeah, I don't even drink hot coffee. That's whatever. This is why my wife's always mad at me because she's like, you're bringing home more crap that you don't need. It's okay. That's all right.
It's funny. I never really thought about that. Yeah, you don't even. And I bought you a Mustafar one.
I know. And I'm gonna use it. I'll find a use for it.
Start drinking water out of it.
I'm gonna start drinking beer out of it on our shows. Are you drinking beer out of a mug?
Oh, yeah, why not? It's a beer mug. They do that on talk shows. You drink water out of them.
Oh, that's true. They do. Anyways, let's go into our segment of what we've messed up in and looked into. What do we got from a couple weeks ago now?
Yes, because we did not do opening segments for the last episode. So this one, if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, skip ahead a minute. I'm going to give that. And 1, 2, 3. So we made a comment that, well, for one, they kept calling the one thing a face-off, which I thought was really funny because it was literally a face-off later. And I feel like that was a misjoke. And the other thing is we talked about how nobody died, but that is not true. A whole planet died.
The whole planet died, yeah. But I also kept thinking like the Nicolas Cage, John Travolta movie of Face Off for some reason.
Yes, 100%. That's what I was thinking of.
I thought that's what we were going for. But in a way, I guess they did. So yeah, go catch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's at like 500 million box office. And of course, the box office people are like, oh, I thought this was going to make $1 billion easily. And it's just like, oh my God, here we go. Oh boy.
It was so good. No more spoilers from here on out.
Yeah, no more spoilers. We did a spoiler episode review of it. If you want to go back and listen to it, feel free to do so. We're going to go into what we've been reading or watching. I've actually read a couple things. I've watched a few things. The first thing that I've read, I picked up a couple comics. One of them is called It's Jeff by Kelly Thompson. And I cannot pronounce the other name. It's Japanese. I am so sorry. They're the artist. But it's a series of short little stories. It's about a shark named Jeff. And he's just doing various things in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like at one point, Hawk Girl is pretty much doing her laundry and Jeff the shark gets put in there and he's having the time of his life inside there. And then another one is where he's in a pool and a lot of the superheroes you see like Miles Morales, Captain America and them they see a shark fin in the pool, so they all get out scared, and it's him. He's like this innocent shark. It's really cute. It's a kid's book. And so I just flipped through it with the kids, and it was really one. And then I also read Groot issue 1. I think that just recently came out. And it's essentially, it's supposed to be like a Groot origin story. And you have a crew of Kree, including Marvel. They're going to this planet. And that's when they discover it's Groot, Twig, and I can't remember the third one's name. There's 3 of them. They're really small. And they kind of rescue them from the planet. And then they're going to Planet X, which is where they're from, to figure out, are there more of you? Is your planet dead? What is going on? And that's kind of where that leaves off. So it's kind of a Groot origin story. It's another fun little comic book. I haven't read any other comics yet, but those are the big ones that I've read the last couple days.
It would be cool to see another Groot type character in Guardians, because it's interesting. Like, we've known these characters for so long, and we've only seen one specific of that species.
Yeah.
Other than obviously Daddy Groot, and same, with a lot of these species. And I feel they explain that more so in Star Wars. If there's like, okay, well, this is the last of their kind, or this was that, or this planet was destroyed. I feel like they don't do that as much. Yeah,
it's cool. They're like seedlings at this point, so they're really tiny. But go check that out. Also, our friend David Papose had his Hulk annual, which is kind of shot in like a found footage style. That just came out last week. That's sitting in my box to pick up. And then
that should be
Colin and the Hive Mind, if you will, Colin and Jack, they had their Guardians of the Galaxy issue 2 come out. Go pick those up. Good runs. Their Star Trek has been picked up with editor Heather Antos. They have been nominated for Eisners, or actually they won Eisners for this. And so really good job. Shout out to them. Other than that, I watched the movie Dungeons and Dragons starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez. That movie had no business being as good as it was. I kept hearing it was good. It kind of dove in some of the Dungeons and Dragons lore, if you kind of know what that is. I don't follow it too much. I've played it a little bit, but I know enough to pick up on like what was what going through it. Chris Pine is really great. I thought he's amazing. He's built for these kind of movies. I feel like I love him when he's not playing this serious kind of role. I feel like that's his kind of role. And it was just fun.
He's a little, I don't want to say he's underrated because he's in some big stuff, but like, he's really good.
Underrated. I feel like he almost is, because he's not one that's, other than like, he was obviously in the Star Trek films, but
right. And he played William Shatner's character. Well, he was in Wonder Woman too.
Yeah, but he's never like carried a movie on his own, I guess,
I think he has, just not ones that we have seen out. Yeah. But no, I'd love to see him in Marvel or Star Wars. I feel like that's for us, I feel like that's like when you've made it
right
in our head.
No, that makes sense. But he's in a lot of stuff, but he's great in this non-serious kind of just have fun adventure films. And Dungeons and Dragons, I hope they make more of it and kind of build off this universe, because I thought it was excellent. Hugh Grant is in that movie too, of all people. And it's like, I haven't seen him in a movie forever, and it's worth a watch. It's only 2 hours long, so I recommend watching that movie. And then I finished season 5 of Supernatural. Finally, God, took getting surgery and being laid on the couch. Like, what are we going to do? Let's watch this. And so we watched that, and I'll have thoughts. We'll talk about it on a Supernatural episode. I'm not going to quite get there yet. So that's what I've been reading or watching. I'm going to see Fast and Furious this week because Carrie's taking the kids to see Little Mermaid. And so I was like, well,
you're not going to see Little Mermaid?
Well, no, Carrie was like, why don't we all go to the movies? You can go see Fast and Furious. I'll take the kids to see Little Mermaid for the early screening on Wednesday. So Wednesday, I am going to go see Fast X. So I'll have a review next week.
I look forward to it. I will be seeing Little Mermaid next week. I haven't really watched anything or read anything new this week. I've honestly just been rewatching random episodes of Clone Wars, Rebels, and Supernatural. You tell me you're on an episode and I throw it on while I'm doing other shit. So
that's right. I am up to season 6, episode 3. I don't know how I feel about season 6 yet.
All I will say is there's a lot going on in season 6 and you don't know how much is going on at the beginning. And I already see people saying, oh yeah, it's all downhill after 5. But there are some they're one of the best episodes of the series is in season 6. It's called French Mistake. And you'll probably know it when you get there because it's kind of like a what the fuck
was it about
episode.
When Napoleon went to Moscow and thought he was conquering the Russians, but then winter happened?
That's exactly the storyline. Wow, impressive. So the name French Mistake is based off the movie Blazing Saddles. It was like, I think, a song in Blazing Saddles, but we'll have some fun facts when we talk about that when you get there. But some of my favorite episodes don't occur. Like there's one that's amazing in season 10. And one of my favorite like Halloween ones is is like 12 or 13 or something. Like there's a lot more great stuff ahead.
For a show that has 15 seasons, for people to be like, okay, it's all downhill after season 5. It's like, clearly that is not the case.
There's another decade. Yeah.
That
And like
isn't the case.
You're just now getting good Crowley. Like you just got into Crowley. So, and I didn't realize how little he's in the show until the end of season 5. Okay, I have to stop. We're done with Supernatural.
Yeah, we'll move on. If you want, actually, folks, so on our Patreon, you have an exclusive Discord channel, which the Discord is open to everybody. If you want to drop it, I put it in the link of this episode. There is a specific channel for Patreons only where we have lots of different discussions, but we have a Supernatural channel and things like that. So if you want to come chat Supernatural with us, come hang out in the Discord. Link is in the bio. Let's move on to news. Got some news. Speaking of Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel on the red carpet in Rome said that Fast and Furious X is actually going to be Fast and Furious XXX. Now, I don't think this is going to be the Pornhub version, but it will be a trilogy where this movie was supposed to originally be 2 parts, but now it's going to be a 3-part ending, I guess.
Wasn't Vin Diesel already in a Triple X movie?
He was in Triple X.
The things I have to do for my country.
Yes.
I think I saw that in the theater.
It was Triple X and then like Triple X, The Rise of Xander Cage or whatever the heck.
Yeah, I only saw the first one.
I saw the first one. I didn't watch the second one, but he was in a movie called Triple X. And it's funny because he was like, I think he's just drawing this out. And there was a TikTok clip of Michelle Rodriguez. I don't know how long ago this was. It was at a Comic-Con. I think it was San Diego at a point. And she was like, where do we go with Marvel movies? Like, there's only so much you can do with Marvel movies. And people are like stitching it with literally all the Fast and Furious movies that have come out. And like, speaking of, and so it's this franchise will never end. And I'm here for it so badly.
Do you think Vin Diesel has said, I am Groot or family more?
Ooh, probably. Man, I need to count.
Somebody needs to go back and watch all of the movies with Groot in them.
I need to find out if there's a counter for that on YouTube while I'm just laying around. I'll have to look into that one for next week. Moving on, Disney Plus and Hulu will be combining into one streaming option if you want it, coming this November. Don't know the exact pricing, and they haven't released anything else on that yet. Also, the writer's strike is 4 weeks on now, and David Zaslav, who is the CEO person of Warner Brothers Discovery, was invited to come speak at the commencement ceremony at BU, and he was greeted with a pay your writers chant. That makes me happy. Thank you, Boston. Thank you for showing up, because he wanted to come out and give this commencement speech. I guess somebody even like got a plane that was flying around that with a little streamer that was like pay your writers and all that. And I just love to see that, because this is stupid. The big thing is like the thing that the writers want protection of is, first of all, like streaming beforehand. Say you were hired on to do like Friends and you got paid each episode of Friends and all that, and you would actually make a lot of money. Now with streaming, you get paid a one-time fee of like $2,000 to write a show, and they don't know if it's a hit. You don't get paid per episode that it airs and reruns. It's just, all right, here's your one-time check for this thing that's going to go to streaming. So they kind of want to figure out how streaming works. How do you pay your writers based off streaming numbers? Because they don't really have a way to do that yet. And then the other thing is they want protection against AI. So a lot of people think you can just use Chat GPT to go in and write a script and then hire a writer to come in and just fix what they did. That's crap. And then also with like actors, a lot of like voiceover work is going to go away, because you can just synthesize voices. Like James Earl Jones, who signed his voice away, and he hasn't voiced anything in Star Wars, but he signed his voice away. So they've synthesized it. Well, but the thing is,
because he's older, like, and I feel like that's okay. But yeah, taking away all of it, like, yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like now AI is threatening voice actors, because why pay a voice actor when you can just AI some voice to come in and do your commercial, your voice? I
saw some company already did that, and it like cut their costs like down like crazy.
So there's a whole mess going on, and pay your writers, man, because without good writing, I don't care how good your actors are. Look at the Star Wars prequels. We can all agree the writing wasn't the best, but you had Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor. You had a whole mess of Mace Windu was played by Samuel Jackson. All these really good actors, but they couldn't even save from bad writing. So kind of goes into that. I just pay your writers, man. I'll leave that to be. Other than that, The Bear season 2 will premiere on Hulu June 22nd. Really great show. Highly recommend that. Loki premieres October 6th. Which, so excited for that. Man, we got June 21st. We have Secret Invasion. Loki premieres October 6th, and then Echo comes to Disney Plus November 29th. Now,
and we have Ahsoka in between.
Oh yes, Ahsoka.
So we should have nonstop good Disney Plus content from June
a lot of stuff to talk about this
Christmas.
summer.
Yeah.
And the thing with Echo is that they are planning to release all the episodes on the same day, which I'm curious. I wonder if that's like a test.
I think it's an experiment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an experiment. Really excited for all that. And then if you like Matthew Lillard and the Five Nights at Freddy's video game, I've never really played it, but the trailer came out and it looks great. That comes out October 27th. My last bit of news, the ever expensive, affordable Galactic Star Cruiser will be done as of September 30th. Disney has announced that they're closing it, spent all that money. Apparently they invest. Who can afford 2-night stay for $5,000? Honestly, though,
it's just too niche. It's like, for one, you have to find people that truly, truly love Star Wars and people that can truly, truly afford that. That's a lot of fucking money. You can go on a Star Wars day at sea Disney cruise for like less.
Well, $5,000 pays for like my airfare, my hotel, my 3 or 4 day park hopper for a family of 4. So like, why would I spend $5,000 on a 2-night stay in something that like I might appreciate, but I can't justify spending $5,000 on something that. So I'm curious to see, like, will they open this up as an expansion part of the park, or how this will really work?
I don't know. I'm hoping for a value Star Wars hotel so I can stay there.
I mean, I'm hoping they do something, because they're not going to waste money to scrap it. They've got to have something planned. So I'm sure we'll hear something there soon. That's all the news I have, though. What do you got?
So The Mandalorian season 3, the making of, will be out June 28th on Disney Plus. If you don't want to watch all of it, I'm sure we will steal some fun facts from it and shoot them out here. That's a lot of times where I get a lot of my fun facts from that stuff. Doctor Who's 60th anniversary episodes will be with Tennant will be a 3-episode series. It will be the special one, the Starbeat 2, Wild Blue Yonder. Oh, I'm sorry. The special one is what it's all called. So the first one is the Starbeat. The second one is Wild Blue Yonder. And the third one is the Giggle. And that will be out in November.
God, I can't wait.
I'm very excited because we're not only getting Tennant, we're getting Donna.
Yes.
I don't know if she's going to get her memory back. I have no idea how that's going to work, but I'm excited to see how it does. The Winchesters has not been renewed by the CW, but Jensen and the cast are not done, and they're looking for a new home. If you want to see the Winchesters continue, use the hashtag Save the Winchesters.
I think it was Walker also is in the same boat. I saw.
Yeah, I think they got a shortened season, but then CW is rebranding like their whole thing.
They're basically getting rid of everything, I guess, which is interesting, because I thought the Winchesters was like the most streamed thing on HBO Max for a little bit.
Well, I think that's part of the problem, though, is these shows are shows people want to stream, so they're not watching them live. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on in the boardroom, but that's my theory. But what I found interesting was, because I wanted to read a couple articles and see what was going on when this came out. And like, it's very obvious the people writing these articles, not all of them, but some of them didn't even see the show, because the way they're describing the show is completely inaccurate. Like, the basic description of the show is inaccurate. And the reason so many people hated the show before it came out is because they don't know what the show is. Like, you have to watch the whole series. So if you haven't given it a chance and you like Supernatural, I've gone, there are ups and downs, but there are some fantastic episodes. There's some not such great episodes. I feel like it had good writing and shitty guest stars.
When you're doing 23 episodes, you're bound
we only did 13.
There was only 13. Okay. Well, still, like, you're bound to have like a down episode or two. That's just
no. Well, I think what the difference between Supernatural and the Winchesters is honestly the quality of their guest stars. The main cast, I thought, did a great job. Obviously, Tom Welling did a great job. Jensen's in it. You hear him in episode 1. He did a great job. How could he not? But there's some of their guest stars just weren't great, and it took me out of it seeing the crappy acting. But then you got cameos. You got Supernatural cameos sprinkled in, and the finale was great. And the finale explains why everybody who hated the show before it started was wrong. And the articles with people coming out describing the show was wrong. So anyways, if you want the show to come back, tweet something, TikTok something, Instagram something, hashtag Save the Winchesters. My next piece of news, I got not unreasonably, more excited than I should have. Jaleel White, also known as Steve Urkel, confirms he is playing a pirate in Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And if we do not get some sort of, did I do that? We will riot. I don't know. People will probably riot if that does happen.
I guarantee something.
It'll be like the Jack Black thing. Yeah. It took me out. But I think that's a lot of fun. He probably won't even be recognizable because, a lot. Do they ever have human pirates? I feel like they're always alien pirates.
Rarely.
And my last bit of news is Jake Abel, who you now know as Adam Winchester, will be coming to FanX.
Oh, sweet. I saw Katie Sackhoff's going to be at FanX Salt Lake too. And
Matthew Lillard again.
A lot of them. Yeah, the screencast is going to be there. There's going to be a lot of them. So maybe I'll plan my moving adventure where I swing through that for a day or two and continue on the East Coast journey. Who knows?
I will say the screen panel was really good here at MegaCon because when we saw it at FanX, it was just Skeet Ulrich and Jamie Kennedy. But like Jamie Kennedy started crying and got emotional and was like, because somebody asked him what the Scream universe means to him. And it was really kind of sweet to see them all together and funny. But yeah, I know we talked about that before. But yeah, if you're in or around Salt Lake City at the end of September, definitely worth going.
22nd to 24th, I believe. So do it. It's a great Comic-Con. Really great stuff. You can catch our footage on YouTube. But is that all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, we will return in just a moment where we are going to dive into some Mandalore lore.
Hey, everyone. I don't have much time, so I'm just going to get right to the point. My name is Jordan Arith, and I host a podcast called Hop Heroes. Myself and two of my good friends discuss comic book stories while drinking delicious craft beer. You can find us on...
What's up, bro? What's going on here?
Oh, hey, Zach. JR, how's it going?
It's going well, man. What are you up to?
Oh, nothing much. Just talking to myself, practicing lines. You know the drill.
Oh, really? Because it sounded like you were recording the promo without us. And I'm just really confused as to why you would go and do something like that.
I wasn't recording without you guys. And why did you knock when you came on? It's a podcast. That doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Hello, everyone. This is Zach Barlow, the host of Hop Heroes podcast.
You're not the host.
I am joined weekly by my counterparts, Jordan and JR, and we will break down Great Brew and discuss the comic book universe. You can find me every Wednesday on all podcast platforms, and these guys will be there as well, I guess.
This is probably why he didn't want you on the promo, Zach.
I'm the host of the show.
Welcome back. Of course, Mandalorian Season 3 has just recently wrapped up, and there was some questions. The Darksaber, a big one. How does it work? Who does it belong to? All that good stuff. The Siege/Purge of Mandalore, a little bit of confusion there. So we're just gonna discuss it. We're gonna dive in. So Lauren, why don't you take us away with the Darksaber?
Yes. So of course we will be spoiling the crap out of Mandalorian Season 3. If you haven't seen it by now, go watch it and then come back. So the Darksaber, it first appeared in Clone Wars and then Rebels before we saw Moff Gideon actually wielding it. So today we will begin the timeline of the Darksaber. So the first owner of the Darksaber was the Jedi Mandalore who created it, Tar Vizsla. Vizsla sounds familiar. Paz Vizsla was the guy we all hated at the beginning of Mandalorian, and then we all cried when he died. So Tar Vizsla lived 1,000 years ago. At the time, he was the only known Mandalore to also be a Jedi. The lightsaber was built when he was a youngling, like they do, which we actually saw in Clone Wars. He later ruled Mandalore with the Darksaber. Unlike all other lightsabers, though, the Darksaber can sense inner turmoil and it can become heavier, which is what we saw with Din Djarin. Like he clearly never got that turmoil handled. And then it was lighter for Bo. There is no explained reason for this, but there are some theories that all come down to the Kyber crystal. Because Kanan explains that a little bit in Rebels, how like your energy flows through the Kyber crystal and all that. But that's a whole other
you
rabbit
kind of
hole
like
for another
bond
day.
with your crystal, and yeah, it's a whole other discussion.
Sounds a little dirty. So when Tar Vizsla died, the saber went to the Jedi Order and was stored at Coruscant. Clan Vizsla then raided the Jedi Temple and stole it back. I think we need to, there's some things they say in movies we need to do. I'm going to start saying like, we are Clan Freeman. That is,
there we
like
go.
Your Clan
Sounds
Roth.
badass.
Like, why don't we do, and like when we send, like text people where we are, like, oh, I'm going to drop a pin. No, you need to put sending coordinates now and do it on your watch and then drop a pin. Because that just sounds more fun.
We
need
can
to
start
make
a revolution.
Things. Yes, with our Clan Roth and Clan Freeman. Okay. So it was then passed down for generations after Clan Vizsla stole it back, and we are now to Clone Wars, its first appearance. And it is in the hands of Pre Vizsla. So Pre Vizsla is the leader of Death Watch, which Bo was a follower of. Maul defeated Pre and chopped his head off with the Darksaber. And I'm like watching this, and that's one of those
Everybody's
moments where
like,
you're
this
like,
is a kid's show. I'm not going to watch it. Oh, yeah? Then explain Maul chopping his head off on the steps in the Grand Hall there.
Logan was watching it with me and he's like, oh, he cut his head off. I was like, yeah, he did. He did, kid.
Yeah.
So Bo then switched back to the side of her sister, the Duchess Satine of Mandalore, after Maul took over. So you saw like Bo's young in Clone Wars, very young.
Oh, yeah.
And she, what her sister's doing, trying to be a pacifist, is not working. So she joins the Death Watch, sees her sister die by the hands of the Darksaber. And that is when she switches sides and she goes and gets Obi-Wan and they try to take Mandalore back. And she says, but Mandalore will survive. We always survive. Side note, yeah, let's pour one out for Pez Vizsla.
Yes. So Darth Maul kind of defeated Pre and he took ownership of the Darksaber, which he then adds to a collection of artifacts that he maintained on Dathomir, where he's from. It was then taken up by Sabine Wren after she was possessed by the ghost of one of the Night Sisters. Again, a lot of lore into the Night Sisters, Dathomir, a whole lot of just craziness that goes on there. We get a little mystical, magical, right? There doesn't seem to be a clear explanation as to where the Darksaber was right before Sabine got it. Some say that Darth Maul had to stop using it after being defeated by Darth Sidious. Some say he stopped using it because it was getting too heavy for him. We don't fully know. Sabine Wren, she is a Mandalorian who was introduced in Rebels, of course, as we remember her from there, if you've caught that show. She's the main character in Rebels. She will also be in Ahsoka. She trained with Kanan Jarrus, and the plan was to try and bring some Mandalorians, Clan Vizsla in particular, into the rebellion. However, she didn't think of herself as a leader, so she gave it back to Bo. There was no fight, which created a whole other mess of
some people think that's why Mandalore's cursed, because Bo took it and didn't earn it.
You have to earn it in battle, basically, is the lore to the Darksaber. And because Bo didn't, she just had it given it to her. Why would we follow you? You're not the rightful leader of Mandalore. All that good stuff. Right.
Sabine's mom even yells at her about it.
Yes. We learn in Mandalorian season 3 that Bo then surrendered it to Moff Gideon in a desperate attempt to save her people, which is how Moff Gideon comes to have it. Din defeats Moff Gideon, which then Din is defeated by this alien, creepy
grievous looking guy.
Yeah, who Bo then defeats. And so by a roundabout ways, she earns it back, only to have Moff Gideon destroy it in their final battle. And
which we still don't fully understand how.
Interesting. So that's kind of the death of the Darksaber. We don't know where to go from here. My theories are that Grogu is going to be the next savior of Mandalore, if you will, and he's going to create another version of this as his like lightsaber. He's going to be a Jedi type Mandalorian. That's what I think is going to happen with him.
I think that's what we all hope. But yeah, I didn't even think about him creating another Darksaber.
It's pointy because he uses the Force still, but he also is being trained as a Mandalorian. So I think it would make sense to have him recreate and reunite the people of Mandalore under one banner. Who knows? Because we're going to talk about the Siege of Mandalore, which takes place during the Clone Wars. And now, one thing to know about Mandalorians is that they are made up of tribes, if you will, different clans, different tribes, different names, and they are always at civil war with each other. They can never unite together, which if they united together, they would be the most powerful planet, most powerful people in the universe, the galaxy. Yeah. They can't do that for some reason. So,
and there's like jokes made to it in Rebels. Kanan Jarrus says it, and then somebody else says it in Mandalorian. Like, what is it with you, Mandalorians?
Exactly. Everybody's like, dude, thank God you guys can't get your stuff together because then we'd be screwed. So the siege takes place about 19 years BBY before the Battle of Yavin. So this is 19 years before A New Hope. However, before the actual siege is when Maul took over. He kills Satine in front of Obi-Wan because he wants Obi-Wan to feel the pain that he has caused Maul. And this happens in season 5 of the Clone Wars. This was done with the help of Bo and some other Mandalorians who wanted Mandalore to once again be a warrior planet / culture. Satine was a pacifist who just wanted everybody to love each other. That didn't fly. She dies. It was very sad and tragic. And man, Obi-Wan, again, has gone through so much.
Yes, because Obi-Wan and Satine were lovers.
Yes. After Maul kills her, Almec, the prime minister of Mandalore, is the one controlling Mandalore, but really Darth Maul is behind everything, right? And so the Mandalorians who were loyal to Mandalore when Maul was in control is where the helmets, like the armor, wears. That's why we all thought she was part of that, the Maul-Dalorians, if you will. There are other groups who were helped too. The Pike Syndicate and the Hutt Clan, they collectively were the Shadow Collective. So now we're going to jump into season 7, which was the forgotten, not really forgotten, but like they ended Clone Wars at season 6. Season 7 was supposed to be drawn out Siege of Mandalore. We were supposed to see a lot more of that. And so we kind of did like a shortened version, if you will, in season 7. And this is where the Mandalorian siege takes place in the last 4 episodes over the Clone Wars. Therefore, this takes place during simultaneously with episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Take us away.
So we start with episode 9, aka part 1. And at the beginning of Clone Wars, it's usually yellow, and these last 4 are red because of Maul. So part 1, old friends not forgotten. Ahsoka has left the Jedi Order at this point, and Bo and Ahsoka team up, and Bo's like, hey, can you help me take back Mandalore? This isn't going great. And they meet up with Obi-Wan and Anakin because they had found Maul and they wanted help tracking him down. And he knew that they had an interest in taking him down as well. Side note, the clone army of the 501st made all their helmets look like Ahsoka.
God,
so that
just adds to the tragedy.
Yes. And I have my little Lego here, right here. It was very sad.
Yeah, I have some up on my Lego shelf.
I know that's not the part that we're focusing on today, but it's just hard not to mention that kind of thing because I just rewatched all these 4 episodes. So Anakin and Obi-Wan get called back to Coruscant to basically play out episode 3. So that's where they are. So Bo, some Mandalorians, Ahsoka, Captain Rex, and some clones attack the Maul Mandalorians. But surprise, it's a trap, which I do find kind of interesting that the clones are clones of a Mandalorian, and now the Mandalorians and the clones, and I feel like that's never even like said, like
nobody
in some
even
way,
like mentions that whatsoever.
No, not a single time. So surprise, it's a trap. Maul was just hoping Obi-Wan would show up, and he also wanted Anakin to show up as well. So obviously he still got, he was mad at Obi-Wan. He cut him in half. He doesn't realize it was justified because he had killed Qui-Gon. But he also has been having nightmares about Anakin, and I think we'll get into that in another episode. So part 2, Phantom Apprentice. Maul is aware shit is about to hit the fan and that Darth Sidious is about to take over. And he's not happy about it.
No.
Obi-Wan, via hologram, because, he's filming episode 3, informs Ahsoka, Rex, and Bo that Anakin just killed Dooku and Obi-Wan is off to kill Grievous. Maul realized clone trooper Jesse was older and basically kidnapped him. Jesse's the one that has the symbol on his face. Need to stop looking at you and just look at this. Ahsoka and Bo go to ask the now captured Almec, who is the prime minister, what Maul's plan was. Right after being shot by a Mandalorian, whatever you want to call him, he said Maul had some bad feelings recently about a Skywalker, and then the Vader music plays very subtly. Meanwhile, the clones are trying to get the citizens to safety, but the citizens are not happy. They feel like they're being bossed around, and they don't want to do what the clones are doing or telling them to do, even though the clones are trying to help them. Then Bo, Ahsoka, and Rex walk into the throne room with Maul chilling on a throne, a little bit like Bo was in Mando. Meanwhile, Jesse is chained up next to him and then released, but not before unintentionally telling Maul everything. Outside, the clones and the Maul Mandalorians fight and blow shit up. So already Mandalore is not doing great. Like, it's already being destroyed. Maul tries to get Ahsoka to join him and destroys Sidious. I felt like in him trying to get Ahsoka to join him, it was similar to Dooku trying to get Obi-Wan to join him because he was telling the truth. He's like, look, stuff's happening. Like, you probably don't want this stuff to happen, and your eyes are
like, look,
closed.
Man, things have gotten weird. All right, I don't want any part of this. This is what's going down. We could save this together. And Maul is kind of the same. Like, it's kind of one of those, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You guys could team up, take care of the big problem, then worry about each other after. However, they have every right not to believe, Dooku and Maul. And this leads to like one of my favorite lightsaber duels in Star Wars, because this was all done like mocap. Like, they mocapped this and it is glorious. Oh,
it is really good fighting.
The best. Just Maul and Ahsoka going at it. And these are like my favorite episodes of Star Wars ever right here. Like, it's the greatest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Maul was groomed as a child, and then Dooku was a Jedi who saw what the Jedi were doing was wrong, which so did Ahsoka. But Ahsoka left and did good on her own, whereas Dooku left and was like, I'm just going to go the opposite way. At the same time
also was like, hey, I don't want to be with Sidious anymore. Like, I kind of see what he's doing. I don't agree with him, but I also don't agree with the Jedi. And if Qui-Gon was here, he would actually help me and we would take this down together, which I think he's right.
Yeah, I would have liked to see more Qui-Gon, just because I feel like Qui-Gon was kind of like Ahsoka, but Ahsoka was like, well, if you guys are going to treat me like this, I'm out. Meanwhile, Qui-Gon was like, you can say whatever you want. I'm still going to train this kid, even if you guys think he's too old and he's going to go dark side. I don't care. Maybe that was because he was older and she was still a Padawan. And so, who knows? Okay. I would like to see more and Liam Neeson as well, but all right. So Maul tries to get Ahsoka to join him. Then he reveals Anakin is being groomed by Sidious, and he really wants Obi-Wan to bring Anakin so he could destroy Anakin and deny Sidious his prized pup. And that is when the fight we're talking about ensues. No.
Maul, he would have gotten his ass whooped by Anakin. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, I think that's fair. So after a very badass fight, Ahsoka saves Maul and captures him while he was yelling that everyone is going to die. He was like desperate, like he's falling. Ahsoka saves him. Again, this isn't really relevant necessarily to the Siege of Mandalore, but it's just so good. So the clones appear to have defeated the Maul Mandalorians and Maul has been captured.
Yeah, this is kind of where Ahsoka at this point leaves Mandalore with Bo in charge. She says, Bo, this is your place now.
Yeah. Part 3.
And yeah, this episode's called Shattered. Bo is now in charge. This is how Bo became in charge of Mandalore at this point. Darth Maul was like, hey, she gives Darth Maul to Ahsoka to take to Coruscant in a device that's designed to hold force-wielding people, which was used back in the day. However, Satine outlawed them because at one point the Mandalorians and Jedi were at war with each other. This was the last one that they had on hand, apparently. Ahsoka feels that Anakin is falling to the dark side. We actually get clips of episode 3 and Anakin's fall in Order 66 happening. Rex yells about 5s, and this is where everything happens. Ahsoka frees Maul and whatnot. And then at the very end, Victory and Death, which is like the saddest Star Wars, animated episode ever. Maul steals Ahsoka and Rex's escape plane, takes off.
A lot more happens, but it's not relevant.
There's a lot more happening, but it's not relevant to what's
Mandalore.
Happening. So that's the end of the siege. Now we're going to get into the Purge of Mandalore, which takes place in Rebels. As we have learned in The Mandalorian, Mandalorians are a prideful people. They're also stubborn. So, of course, when the Galactic Empire became a thing, there was a contingent of clones that were left behind to do their thing. And at this point, the Emperor was in charge. And so Bo was in charge of the Mandalorians. However, the Empire wanted to rule Mandalore and have them join. She wasn't really about that. Palpatine then used the troops that were still stationed on Mandalore to take over the planet. And because Bo refused to join the Empire, he put Gar Saxon, who was a Maldalorian, if you will, in charge as governor. But as we saw in Mandalorian season 3, many clans still recognized Bo as the ruler. So it kind of created that rift and that some more civil war, if you will. Mandalore was to pretty much be made an example of by the Emperor. Hey, you're not going to join me? Well, this is what's going to happen to you. So this is where
I can't have you, nobody can.
Exactly. This is kind of where the Purge happens. Some of the weapons used were created by a rebel, Sabine Wren. She was then a whistleblower who left to join the rebels. And we talked about how she got the Darksaber. She created this thing that was meant to find Beskar. And so the Empire kind of turned that on their own people. And
it heats it up and it finds the Beskar steel. It heats it up. And then the people basically disintegrate from the inside out because they get so hot.
It's freaking brutal, man. And ultimately in an episode of Rebels, Sabine comes back. Whole thing goes down. They destroy that weapon. But this is kind of when the Night of 1,000 Tears happens, which was mentioned in the Book of Boba Fett. The Empire used TIE bombers to essentially lay waste to settlements on Mandalore, dropping fusion bombs, which destroyed entire cities, including the capital of Sundari. In its civic center, gunships were equipped with repeating blasters, which wiped out fields of Mandalorian recruits on that night, as well as the Empire bombed the surface twice over. It turned everything into glass, as we saw in The Mandalorian. And they intercepted any ships that were leaving. They literally took no prisoners. Millions of Mandalorians were wiped out and killed. During the Purge, the mines of Mandalore were thought to be destroyed, but obviously we know that they weren't there. The living waters just are deeper now because everything got blown up. Bo and her people attempted to fight the Imperial effort when they were living around the Great Forge on the planet, but Bo pretty much lost most of her people during the Night of 1,000 Tears, which after that, in an effort to kind of get the Empire to stop, she goes to Moff Gideon, who was kind of leading up the Purge. And she was like, hey, look, we quit. Here is a ceasefire.
It was a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
The last attempt to try to save people.
Yeah. She was like, you can have the Darksaber. Please, let's have a ceasefire. Gideon tells Bo that all Mandalorian lives, as well as the cities that remained at the time, would be spared if she agreed to submit to the Empire and disarm. So she gives him the Darksaber. And at that point, he betrays her, which they continue on with the Purge right after this. It caused basically.
Which, I mean, he had to know, like the Mandalorians were going to be like, okay, we submit and move on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was probably a smart thing on Moff Gideon's part.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. So a lot of them survived on the moon of Concordia, or they were hiding out on Mandalore or other areas of the galaxy. There's a reason there isn't service is because the mass bombing, they glassed the surface, turning the sand into trintite. And it disrupts, I don't know how to pronounce that. It pretty much disrupted the magnetic field around the planet, which makes it impossible to scan the surface from above the atmosphere, which leads us into the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. They thought everything was like cursed and the place was uninhabitable. However, that's not really the case.
Well, I didn't know why. Like, I knew it was because of the Purge that they couldn't, because they're like, okay, we're going to have no communications or whatever. And I was like, well, why? You guys have all this like futuristic technology and you can jump through hyperspace and all this. Why can't you scan the freaking surface of Mandalore? So I didn't remember them. They probably explained it at some point in Rebels or something, but I got that off of Wikipedia. I was like, oh, that's why I threw that in. Because it was like, I didn't understand why, but I knew there had to be an explanation. But yeah, I mean, not much until the end of season 3 of Mandalorian happens regarding the actual Mandalore. But a lot is discussed and mentioned. And so that is all of it that was discussed and casually mentioned. And there is some confusing info out there because when you Google Purge and Siege, they're sometimes used simultaneously. And that's, I think, because, and I know we were texting about this last night, because I was like, hey, check the doc, make sure this is accurate, because some of it was a little inconsistent. And Moff Gideon refers to the Purge as the Siege, and that could be him being a politician, him saying, no, we were taking it over, we weren't purging it. Right. So that might have
obviously going to admit to genocide.
Right. So that's probably, because the Empire still wants to create this, like, we're not out to kill everybody. We're here to create order. People need order. People
the
want
Empire
order.
never even told the people about the Death Star. Nobody really knew the Death Star wasn't common knowledge. They had no idea this was a thing. So
and they probably shouldn't have named it the Death Star. That's just bad PR.
Somebody needs to fire that marketing manager ASAP.
I agree. Yeah, right. A good marketing manager and the whole galaxy could have been very different. PR is very important. So there, I do want to say a quote that Katie Sackhoff did. I think it was in some magazine recently, because I have truly loved seeing her journey, because she was a child and now she is a grown ass woman. I think I also love that she's so, like, she's a few years older than me and she's so badass. And I love that we're still getting, like, Ahsoka also, like, Rosario Dawson's only a few years older than me. And so I love just
really
seeing
strong,
these
badass female leads.
Yes. And these women are in their 40s and they're kicking ass and they're taking names, and I'm loving it. And I love that these characters too. And like when we spoke with Vanessa Marshall, they love their characters. And I think that is fantastic too. And they love them because they're badass women who are in the right and just doing some, I bet they would love them too if they were evil characters and were badass too. But so Katie Sackhoff had this to say about Bo, because I know a lot of people were a little upset that Satine wasn't mentioned more, but I think we will get more of her in the future. So Katie Sackhoff said, quote, when we first saw her, referring to Bo, she was questioning whether she was capable of ruling. Those aspirations have cost her everything, her home, her people, her sister. But in that loss and that grief and that complete humility, she has found herself in a place where she actually knows how to lead. This season, referring to season 3, was truly a redemption arc. And I agree with her completely. I've saw this whole thing as a redemption arc too. This, from the second we met her, I felt like that's what she was doing, was trying to redeem herself and helping a fellow Mandalorian and telling, obviously they all in Star Wars are like, I'll help, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But still, like, she went and saved Grogu and she was like, hey, yeah, go find Ahsoka. She also said the death of Satine impacted how she played Bo in Mandalorian. So losing her sister changed her direction in her life forever. And that's what we got on the Purge.
That's it. That's the Purge, the Siege, all of the good stuff. If you want to learn more, go check out Wikipedia. Great site, great informational resource as far as that goes. Also, check out my article on dorksidetheforce.com. I did do a little article on it. You can check that out. We did some Instagram polls throughout the month. Let's hit those real quick before we wrap things up.
So yeah, some of these are random. If you ever want to be involved in any of this, check out our stories. I throw a lot of polls on there randomly. I'll throw random questions. Sometimes a lot of people interact. Sometimes I get like nothing. Like one of the questions I asked was Satine and Obi-Wan's was Corky their love child? There is a child named Corky. He is Bo and Satine's nephew, and that's all we know. We don't know who his parents are. We don't know anything. He looks like he could be Obi-Wan's. But I also had Googled, apparently he died, which I don't remember him dying. I don't know. Anyways,
I don't know.
I asked that question. Kevin from Hops and Heroes said yes, and one other person said no, and that was it. But here are some of the other polls and whatnot we did. So I did Best Droid, 3PO and BB-8 tied for last place. Chopper was in second, and R2 was in first.
Okay, I thought you were going to say that like they were tied for first. I was like,
no.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm going to run that poll again after Ahsoka comes out because Chopper will be in that, and I won't be surprised if Chopper moves.
Chopper's the GOAT, man.
I asked Star Wars hot takes. Patrick mentioned the single best move was when Akbar commanded a ship to crash into a ship to take out the shield gate on Scarif at the end of Rogue One.
Okay, I will just point out one thing. That one wasn't Admiral Akbar, technically. I forget the name. However, that was one of the more badass moments when he pioneers a Star Destroyer to take out that. Yes.
I think Mon Calamaris are just like, it's like Kleenex
I forget
tissue.
his name. I'll have it. For when we messed up, I'll fix it in the future.
Oh, you can Google that real quick.
Yes, that was a really great thing, Patrick. I agree with you.
So craft beer vegan, this was a big hot take. I feel like he said, it's done. Leave it be. Like, don't make any more Star Wars. The other one I did, Mando versus Andor, which show is better. I got 4 votes for Mandalorian and 3 for Andor and 1 for both. Because one of the options was, go ahead.
It was Admiral Raddus. He was the one who was commanding the Starfleet before the Battle of Yavin, who we saw in Rogue One, and he crashed the starship into the destroyer. Yes.
There you go. Corky. Oh, I just mentioned that. Best show. So I put Boba and Bad Batch. They tied for last, making Mandalorian number 2 and Obi-Wan number 1.
Oh, that's a surprise.
I couldn't fit Andor in there too, which is why I did Andor versus Mando and Mando 1. I think most people have seen Mando. I think Mandalorian's a show that most people have seen.
To be fair, also there's 3 seasons of Mandalorian versus 1 season of Andor, so I feel like you get a little bit more different shows. Like Andor is a spy thriller, Mando's not,
with no lightsabers or the Force too.
Right.
Andor's boots on the ground.
Right.
Best trilogy. 7 people voted. 4 said the OGs. 3 said the prequels, and 0 said the sequels.
I'm going to go ahead. I didn't see this one. I'm voting for the prequels. Therefore, it's tied in first place. There we go.
All right.
Just kidding. I only did that to make it a tie.
I'm voting for the sequels just to throw it off.
Yikes.
I don't know that I really could pick a one because I feel like they're just so different.
Yeah,
it would be between the prequels and the OGs, but
the OG is probably like the best trilogy cohesiveness wise. But my favorite Star Wars film out of any of the trilogies is Rise of Skywalker. For fuck's sake, it's
Revenge of the
Sith. Jesus Christ,
Revenge of the Jedi. That doesn't even exist.
Not yet.
Oh, but that's not the Jedi way.
Jedi do not seek revenge.
I am no Jedi. Stories you'd like to see. This one is because I feel like there's so many different stories you could do. And I feel like the people who are working there are thinking about this too. So my mom said she'd love to see the Han and Leia love story. So I have been reading
there's a book.
Well, I've been reading the second Aftermath book and they got married on Endor.
Yes. Well, there's
so I feel like there wasn't much courting.
No, there's a legit book. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it just recently came out that is centered around their wedding. So
on Endor, did they get married on Endor in that book?
I didn't read it. It wasn't interesting to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't care about their whole wedding stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, so I didn't read it.
You know, in watching, we've heard a lot of this stuff in Mandalorian about people who were at the Battle of Andor, and they talk about it a lot in the Aftermath books. And at the end of Rebels, they mention like Captain Rex was there and stuff. Yeah. And like, if Captain Rex was there and he knows that Anakin is Vader and he knows that they're over there having a funeral, wouldn't he go over there and pay his respects? Like, I want that scene. I want to see Captain Rex walking over, and I want to see, Ahsoka there, and I want to see this shit. I want Old Man Rex. He is the number one person.
Like everything happened pretty fast, so people were celebrating, and maybe Luke just did it like they didn't realize maybe Vader was down there, and that's what he was doing. I'm going to go ahead and say, like,
I agree, but I also feel like
private thing.
How did Luke and Ahsoka meet? Did Ahsoka feel him? Did she meet him on Endor? Did they bond over because she also knows Anakin is Vader? Like they know.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, I want that scene. Everyone,
you'll
we
get
don't
it eventually. Don't worry.
How many Order 66 scenes do we have? I need
not
more
enough.
scenes.
That's how many.
I need more Endor. So Kaylee, my daughter, hasn't watched Mandalorian yet, and we were talking about it on the way to the Hollywood Studios on May the 4th, and I said something about Jar Jar Binks rescuing Grogu, and she's like, "What? Jar Jar Binks rescued Grogu?" And
no,
I said,
the
"Yeah."
actor Ahmed Best.
Well, I didn't clarify. I was just like, "Yep, that's what he did. He ran in there and he goes, Misa, here to rescue you."
I can't wait for her to finally watch that, and she'll be like, "Mom, dude, what the hell? You completely lied to me."
Well, I had
who's
other
this
people in
bald
the car
Jedi showed up? That wasn't Jar Jar.
Well, there was I had the SUV was full of people and half of them had seen it and half didn't. So the people who had seen it all started, laughing, obviously. So she knows, I think, that I was fucking with her. But I'm like, go watch it. And and Kevin from Hops and Heroes said he'd like to see the Knights of the Old Republic story, Knights of the Fallen Empire Sacrifice. This is a video game. I did watch the trailer for it, and these are twins. Have you played the game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about that, because watching the trailer looked really good.
It's just about the Old Republic. I mean, the Jedi versus Sith. There's a lot that goes down, a lot of lore. Especially if you're into the Force aspect of Star Wars, which of course most people are, go ahead and give it a watch. I think there's a lot of things like the Acolyte's going to take place kind of in this Old Republic era, which is Jedi versus Sith. And I think that's going to be testing the waters for something like this. Don't want to give too much away other than that. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's a very Force Jedi v Sith, a lot of them running around the galaxy related type stuff.
Gotcha. And then Stark Wars Pod said he'd like to see the Windu story.
That'd be interesting. I can get behind that. I just really want to see a series where Darth Vader is hunting down Jedi. That's what I want to see. But that's maybe a selfish bit of me, but I just want to see a ruthless Darth Vader show us why he's the most badass man in the universe, the galaxy.
So no plot or story, just him going around. Could be like shorts.
Give me a 10-episode season, or 8 even, of him just right after Order 66. He's on a war path and he is hunting down Jedi. And then there's parts of the comic books where he goes to Padme's grave. Let me see that too. Bring that humanity aspect to him and really solidify like that hallway scene from Rogue One, and then why everybody's so afraid of him. That's what I want to see personally. I have been playing Jedi Survivor. Really great game so far. Cal Kestis, love that man.
Yeah, that's what I want to see is Cal Kestis.
I'm sure we'll get him live action, but
I think we say that every time, every week we said that.
It's true. Well, folks, that will do it for Star Wars Month 2023. If there's anything that we missed, anything you want to see us talk about, let us know. We can always, there's never a bad time to talk about Star Wars, especially with Ahsoka coming up in August. So let us know. As always, go ahead, drop a review, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff to help the podcast grow. Come hang out with us, chat with us. Come hang out in our Discord as well. Next week, we are going to be talking about some Miles Morales, Spider-Verse, and Spider-Man 2099, because Across the Spider-Verse will be hitting theaters finally. One of the most anticipated films of 2023. Check us out. Check it out. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers.